When it comes to high-tech hardware, usually the first and last word in that market is Apple. The logo and the products ranging from its groundbreaking Macintosh system to the iPhone has made Apple synonymous with the romantic idea of progress in pop culture. The company name is so prevalent, even the president referred to its current CEO Tim Cook as Tim Apple. But beneath that popularity is a determined drive to make Apple not just the first and last word in technology. The company wants to be the only word in that field, and they have a number of ways to eliminate everyone else from the sphere of competition. How do they plan to do that? Well, don't touch that delete button as we present a look at that question exactly. Whether you join us on this video tour with an Apple product or one by another company makes no difference to us. Just make sure to like this video, subscribe to TheRichest, and join our notification squad. Now let's get cozy with our hardware as we present a look at how Apple is going to end its competition. You can't say enough about how well Apple is doing these days. At the end of 2018, the company made more than $62 billion during the fall period, an all-time high, plus an additional $10 billion in services revenue. That makes them among the most successful companies in the high-tech world, and one that's primed to grind everyone else into the virtual dust. Apple's latest initiative was revealed in March at an upscale conference from the Steve Jobs Theater in Cupertino, California, and the company didn't hesitate to trot out the star power in support of its latest series of ventures with the likes of Steven Spielberg, Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Aniston, and Oprah Winfrey singing the praises of Apple as the incumbent in the next big thing sweepstakes. One service announced that went into play almost immediately was a one-stop shop for anything journalistic in Apple News Plus, a dramatic upgrade to Apple News. The company has added access to content and subscriptions of such major publications as The New Yorker, Sports Illustrated, Billboard, National Geographic, Time, Vogue, and up to 300 others. The juggernaut news hub costs $9.99 a month and promises unlimited downloading. But what you won't find in that list is the New York Times. After the paper's CEO was doubtful over the success of the venture, the Times also didn't want to give up part of its own $15 monthly subscription fee, which has slowly helped develop a loyal online audience. That snub will likely prompt Apple to persuade the paper's competitors that are part of the revamped news hub using the strength of the Apple brand. That countermeasure may also help the company try to undermine publications that turn down the offer to be under the prestigious high-tech company's umbrella. That prestige hasn't been earned without a lot of sweat equity, but ever since Apple's humble beginnings in the 1980s, it followed a plan based on technical know-how and marketing savvy. At the time, leaders in the personal computer market consisted of the likes of Atari and Commodore. Then came Apple's Macintosh. It was a sexy, white, smooth-looking machine compared to the clunky appearances of its competition. And the operating system was extremely sophisticated with a great deal of foolproof features that made Macintosh much easier to use. Starting with their breakthrough computer, the Macintosh, Apple made sure they did things to separate them from the pack. While other personal computer companies were bringing out clunky metallic shells for all to see, Apple's Mac was a white little machine with no rough corners. It looked like an ivory jewelry case compared to the metallic monstrosities it competed against. But there was more to the whole appeal of Apple. A product that worked very well and had a stylish appearance also implied that its users were just as stylish, hip, and progressive. People quickly bought into the image, and it wasn't long before Apple's frontal assault on its personal computer competition, which led to the demise of several companies, including previous industry leaders like Atari and Commodore. From that point on, anything the company rolled out wasn't just a high-tech product, it was also an Apple product. And Apple has made it known for some time that it wants to issue products with more far-reaching benefits than the sophisticated gadgets it's known for, such as a new credit card they rolled out at the March conference called Apple Card, slated to become available summer 2019. With backing from Goldman Sachs and MasterCard, Apple claims to have totally put a new twist on financial borrowing. Those with an iPhone can sign up immediately by accessing their wallet apps. The service also provides notifications like balances and transaction information with the Messages app. What makes the Apple Card unique is that it comes with no fees if you're late with a payment or if you've exceeded your spending limit. But wait, there's more. Apple's forthcoming features include daily cashback for all purchases. If you buy an Apple product, you can earn 3% cashback. Buying anything else results in a return of 2%. But what area does Apple want to take over with the credit card? Partnering with MasterCard might be enough to concern a much larger credit card competitor named Visa. But Apple's long-term goal could be far more ambitious if one reads between the lines of a recent video promotion. At its conclusion is an interesting message that reads, "A new kind of credit card created by Apple, not a bank." What is interesting to some financial analysts, especially those versed in e-commerce, is that Apple might be leveraging the loyalty of its customer base to drop their banks and conduct their credit card business with Apple. But with issues like breach of privacy and the time the US government gave away $700 million to bail out the financial institutions in 2008, banks don't exactly have a trustworthy reputation these days. With Apple customer loyalty considerably higher, speculation has it that the company has the banking sector in its crosshairs. Apple's had its own trust issues from time to time, but it somehow managed to mask such problems with several engaging ways to draw in its following. Promotions echo the sentiments of progress, as well as the notion of inclusion, showing people from all genders, races, and sexual orientations using Apple products. That humanitarian veneer may not only mask its desires for worldwide domination, but also try to hide a few nefarious initiatives from the public. For starters, there have been frequent accounts of environmentalists taking the company to task for using materials that were damaging to the ecosystem, rather than using green technology that was potentially more expensive. Apple has also reportedly been able to collect data on its users as far back as the days as the iPhone 4, some of which was not encrypted and easy for third parties to access. It was also charged with colluding with its partners when they raised prices on its ebooks in 2012. And earlier this year, Spotify objected to Apple imposing tariffs on the music service's upgrades to its apps, claiming it was a way to divert users towards other free music apps, including iTunes. Apple's had a hand in almost every aspect of electronic entertainment, but one lucrative industry has eluded them for the most part. At the California conference, that changed when the company announced the launch of Apple Arcade. With the price yet to be determined and scheduled to launch with at least 100 new games accessible in 150 countries fall 2019, Apple said that the service would be a new way to make video games available. That's on top of the 300,000 games already in Apple's inventory. Calling itself the world's first game subscription service for mobile, desktop, and the living room, Apple Arcade will reportedly work with some of the world's best-known game designers. The company will allegedly provide financial support to studios responsible for creating these games. Just who Apple Arcade wants to knock off is anybody's guess. Analysts are pointing out the smart money is on Google's Stadia streaming service, which is already one step ahead with its system of cloud gaming. But it could be a lengthy battle, as the latest phase of game streaming is still relatively uncharted territory. As has been proven before, Apple's no slouch at mobilizing its expertise onto foreign turf. And that claim is no more evident than in 2007, when Apple got into the smartphone business. Its introduction of the iPhone had consumers excited over its compact size and easy-to-read display. It was certainly far more attractive than BlackBerry, one of the biggest players at the time. But with its easy-to-use technology, more features, options for apps, and a sleek new look that was in line with the tastes of younger users, it didn't take long for Apple to grab a huge share of the market. Apple's entry eventually killed competitors like BlackBerry, Motorola, and DigitalOcean, credited with creating the first commercial cell phone. Much like Apple News Plus, the company also announced in March an upgrade to the Apple TV app. It's a new a la carte feature called Apple TV Channels that will only charge you for the channels you watch, unlike cable, which insists on selling channels in bundles and subscription tiers. Slated for spring 2019, Apple TV Plus will include access to movies and TV shows that users buy in iTunes, while a sports ticker keeps viewers in the loop on games being played that moment. The service will also include content from streaming services like Hulu and the Amazon-owned Prime. The big news from that announcement is what Apple has in store for the fall. In what's been viewed as an effort to take down Netflix, the world's best-known streamer of entertainment, the company plans to unleash Apple TV Plus. And to make it a contender, the company is pouring millions into original content that will include some of Hollywood's biggest names. Director Steven Spielberg announced at the event his intention to bring back his old TV series Amazing Stories, but with fresh new episodes. Other directors Directors like J.J. Abrams, Ron Howard, and M. Night Shyamalan are also on board to create original projects. On tap to do an original series will be Jennifer Aniston, Steve Carell, and Reese Witherspoon, who will be the marquee attractions on The Morning Show, which goes behind the scenes of a fictitious early morning news and public affairs program. With Apple TV Plus still in the development stages, pricing for the ad-free service has not been made public. The big question on everyone's minds is whether Apple can compete in terrain that's been Netflix's domain since 1997. So little is known about the platforms of Apple TV Plus. At the conference, company CEO Tim Cook said that the service will be easily accessible via iPhone, Mac computers, and other Apple products. But he didn't say whether PC and Android users can get at the streaming channels at all. However, Apple did reveal that it plans to undercut Netflix's monthly subscription fee, and they're banking on as much regular original content as possible to undermine their major competition in the long run. Naturally, the news out of California had the Apple faithful cheering to the rafters, but among its competitors and government regulators, there's plenty of worry over how out of control Apple might be in trying to eliminate its competition. Senator and Democrat presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren reflected concern over how much power giant tech corporations have in the economy. She remarked that companies like Apple are killing their competition through undercutting them or taking them over, using people's private information to generate more revenue, and flexing their monopoly power to control prices in the market. Because of those conditions, Warren wants to tighten antitrust regulations on corporations making at least $25 billion a year and try to make the marketplace a more competitive atmosphere. Then there's a recent lawsuit launched by wireless technology provider Qualcomm against Apple, claiming that the company violated the rights of at least 3 patents. Samsung, one of the best-known manufacturers of Android phones, which are direct competition of the iPhone, are also making the same claims regarding its smartphone patents. And there was one lawsuit launched and eventually dropped by the FBI when it wanted to access a criminal smartphone, despite Apple's protests that the demand violated privacy rights. Apple's powerful enough to withstand that pressure, usually by launching countersuits to keep the issues dragging in the courts for years. And with a hip image that's beyond the reach of most of its competitors, a slick reputation that's snared a sizable portion of the public, and a thorough approach to developing user-friendly technology, count on Apple to be a threat to competitors regardless of what field it plans to invade. While Apple continues to press forward, unfortunately we can't say the same, because this look at how Apple is going to end its competition has come to an end. Which method fascinated you the most? Would you buy these new Apple services? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to The Richest.